I'm really excited and honored to introduce today's special guest and my sister in community, Jennifer Padilla. Jennifer Padilla is a licensed clinical social worker with over 15 years of experience working with diverse populations across a range of settings. Her expertise includes trauma treatment, co-occurring disorders, and addiction recovery. She has provided training and consultation to mental health professionals on culturally responsive and trauma-informed practices. Jennifer is the founder of the Water Collection, a private practice dedicated to supporting individuals and communities through holistic, client-centered care. And today's event, Mental Health in the Inner Landscape of Success for Native Women Entrepreneurs, participants will learn how the brain and body hold on to past experiences and how this affects present-day decision-making and motivation to create a motion picture of your future, a powerful visualization practice designed to align beliefs, biology, and behavior with long-term goals, to name a few. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jennifer so we can go ahead and get started. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing your expertise and knowledge with us this evening. Hadgem.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer Padilla, and I am from the pueblos of Isleta and Laguna, and I am honored to be here with you this evening. And I'd like to greet each and every one of you in my Tiwa language. So, Hinumam Kima Herimba, that I ham Ahwimba Shehwef Tiwem. The translation is good evening. My name is, my Indian name is translated to English ceremonial water, and I'm from the Pueblo of Isleta. So today, I want to welcome you to Mental Health and the Inner Landscape of Success for Native Women Entrepreneurs. In our session, we're going to explore how mental health, our subconscious beliefs, and emotional well-being shape our journey as Native women in business. By understanding our inner landscape, i.e., our thoughts, emotions, and patterns, will create space to heal, lead, and thrive in alignment with our purpose and power. So I'm excited to bring my knowledge and my experience as both a licensed mental health provider and an entrepreneur. So today's agenda is we're gonna do some grounding and connecting as a collective. We're gonna honor how lived experience shapes leadership and business. We're gonna understand how the brain, trauma, and the subconscious mind impact how we interact with each other and how we see ourselves. We're also going to review mental rehearsal, visualization, and affirmations as a way to understand how our beliefs are wired through those that we were cared for through our upbringing. Then we're going to get into a really fun activity by Dr. Joe Dispenza called Creating Your Motion Picture of the Future. And this is going to be a guided practice to envision your aligned, empowered path forward. Because sometimes when we ruminate on past experiences that bring up low self-esteem or doubt, we tend to run those thoughts, and then our body gets used to how we feel those thoughts. And if they're fear-based or if they're doubtful, our interactions with others are also going to be fear-based and doubtful. And then we're going to look at how these roadblocks impact the way that we see ourselves, the way that we might be limiting our success in businesses, and how they might keep us from reaching our full potential. Once we review those roadblocks, then I'll give you some tools for alignment, so that way we can get the body, brain, soul, and higher self working all together as opposed to separate independent parts that can create confusion inside our brain and our bodies. Then we'll have some reflections and then some closing remarks. And I have a few small call to actions that, if implemented, could make big changes for you in the future. Just these little tiny movements will create bigger changes in the future. So I'm excited about our agenda. We're going to be learning a lot, and please take notes, and let's get into it. So I just want to give a warm welcome to everybody who's joining us this evening. And I also want to acknowledge the land that we're on, and just want to remind us that we're on ancestral lands, and they're home to our indigenous people who have cared for the land since time immemorial. So I wanted to just take, just a brief moment of silence so that way we can honor the land that we're on, the lives that we have as a gift that was provided by Universe Creator, and also the hard work that our ancestors put into keeping this earth in good hands so that way we can experience it today. So just a brief moment of silence, just reflecting on where we came from and what our intentions are for today. Hey, thank you for that brief moment of silence. So as Jennifer said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also an entrepreneur and someone who's worked with trauma and helping people find their own healing journeys and understand who they are, independent of the maybe hurtful or negative messages that they've both been witness to and have heard people say to them. We don't want to carry those negative messages. We want a way to release them from our body so that way they don't interfere in how we create space for our business and also those that we work with. I own a private mental health practice called The Water Collection, and I also own a government contracting consulting business called Synergetic Business Solutions. This, the federal contracting consulting business is specifically aimed toward supporting minority-owned businesses secure, manage, and complete federal government contracts. So my work as a therapist and my work or as wearing the hat as an entrepreneur, they cross. And the reason why I wanted to bring mental health into business is because the success of our business really relies on the success of how we see ourselves. If we have great love for ourselves, you can see that in how we interact with other people and how we face challenges. If we have difficulty loving ourselves, you can also see that in how we interact with others, particularly when faced with challenges. So the purpose of this session is literally about you. It's about who you are, where you came from, and where you want to go. It's about exploring the inner landscape of your mind and body and learning how mental health and the subconscious play a very powerful role in shaping your success. We'll look at stories and beliefs that may be holding you back. And then more importantly, we'll look how to rewire those thoughts so that way you can stand in your power. So the structure is as follows. The first 20 minutes or so will be a guided journey into the mind, which includes the three parts, conscious, subconscious, and analytical. And we'll learn how they work together and how early life programming has shaped our behavior. Then the next section will focus on tools for change, like visualization, affirmations, and a mental rehearsal, inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza, specifically from a book called Becoming Supernatural. I have it on a slide here, so you can see it. Then the last 20 minutes will be a hands-on activity where you'll create your motion picture of the future, where you'll identify your internal roadblocks and then reflect on tools for alignment and vision. This session is experiential, so you'll be invited to reflect, draw, journal, or share how you feel. Everything here is offered with cultural humility, respect, and safety, and I'm coming from a good place. And everything that I have set up here is coming from good intention with the hopes of helping you understand a little bit better how your body works and how you can work with it as opposed to against it. There's three big reasons why this training matters. And the first one is that Native women entrepreneurs occupy a unique intersection of cultural strength, historical trauma, and systematic barriers. We carry immense resilience and creativity, and we also often navigate complex layers of inherited trauma, community obligations, and external challenges that directly affect our mental health and our entrepreneurial growth. This training is designed to honor those lived experiences, and I don't want you to view them as limitations, rather as a powerful context for understanding your internalized beliefs, your leadership style, and the energy behind your decision making and your approach as you interact with others and market your business. Mental health is not separate from success. As a matter of fact, it's the foundation upon which we create sustainable businesses, where we have vision and where we create leaders for the future. As we know, many Native women carry subconscious narratives rooted in colonization, historical trauma, oppression, and intergenerational grief. These narratives can manifest as thoughts like, I'm fearful of being seen, or I don't want to take up space. Another would be guilt for prioritizing one's business over the well-being of the community or family demands. It might look like difficulty trusting one's voice, vision, or financial decisions. So when we offer a trauma-informed and culturally relevant approach, we provide tools that gently are gonna help us surface and see what limiting beliefs that might be playing in our mind. And then we're gonna activate these internal gifts of creator, the ability to build, the ability to connect and bring people together, and the ability to prosper. And so an example of a negative belief that might stem from fear-based foundation might sound like, I can't outshine my family or community. That might be an example. What this might look like is that a Native woman entrepreneur might carry the subconscious fear that if her business becomes too successful, that she'll be judged by others as being selfish, or like as if she's too good, right? If she's better than us. And so this internalized belief, which is usually passed down through family dynamics, can shape the way that we see ourselves and the way that we build and create our business. So this training was put together to create space to explore these fears, to understand the origins, and to reframe our success in a way to honor our ancestors, uplift others, and create intergenerational healing. But that work starts from within. Okay, so this one is the book that I was talking about. This is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about our inner landscape, and he first takes us to understanding the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the analytical mind. The conscious mind is your present moment awareness. It's the part of you that sets goals, learns new skills, attends this workshop, and then makes plans for your future. And this part makes up 5% of your daily mental activity. The second part is your subconscious mind. This is the storehouse of your identity. It holds all your automatic thoughts, your emotional reactions, and habitual behaviors. It accounts for about 95% of your daily functioning and is programmed through repetition. And it's also emotionally charged. And it's usually, again, created by the environment which you were raised in. And it can be triggered by anything that you come in contact in your environment with. If you're unaware of your limiting self-beliefs, then they can become triggered by little things in the environment that you interact with, especially if you're having a difficult conversation in your business, or if you need to advocate on your behalf. So you want to be able to get in touch with your body, stand with confidence when you need to do those things to create success in your business. The third part of the brain is the analytical mind. This one acts as the filter between the conscious and the subconscious. This one develops around age 7, and it protects the subconscious by deciding what gets in. Before this age, young children absorb beliefs, patterns, and stories without question. And how the subconscious programming occurs is between the ages of 0 to 7. This is where children are in what's called a hypnotic, suggestible brainwave state. This means that they're absorbing everything they hear, see, and feel, especially from those that are providing care. Okay, so we were talking about the hypnotic suggestible brainwave state, which is how the subconscious programming occurs. So early messages form core beliefs such as I'm not good enough, or money is hard to come by, or I don't want to stand out. And lastly, helping others matters more than taking care of myself. So even if these beliefs were adapted for survival or rooted in cultural roles, they may unconsciously sabotage your growth or your risk-taking or visibility. So an example of this is pricing your worth. I'm pretty sure there's maybe several of us that have had issues with this, me also. And so this is when we struggle with charging fair prices for our services. We undercharge, over-deliver, or avoid invoicing because we don't want to come across as rude or inconsiderate, or we might not believe that we're worth charging that amount. So the subconscious root is growing up. We might have heard or internalized messages like money is scarce or don't be greedy. We might have witnessed our family give freely without expecting anything in return. So this is how the brain starts to internalize those negative belief systems. So fast forward to today, what does that look like? That looks like our subconscious associates financial success with guilt, fear of being judged, or disconnection from our values. So if we don't reprogram this belief, we might, our business might not grow. We might not bring more business, which means more financial success. Another example would be avoiding visibility. So this one might be where we avoid marketing ourselves. We might turn down speaking opportunities or avoid social media altogether. And the subconscious root might say to us that as a child, we might have been told, be humble or don't talk back. Or we might have witnessed how women who were outspoken were criticized or harshly judged. And what that impact today might look like is that our subconscious mind might link visibility with danger or shame. So even if our subconscious mind wants growth, the subconscious, or even if our conscious mind, the mind here in the present moment wants to grow, the subconscious tape playing in the background is saying, we don't want you to experience shame, or we don't want you to be judged harshly. So keep your business small and keep yourself under the radar. So you can see how that negatively impacts your desire to grow your business. So the good news is that what was once wired can be rewired through conscious effort, elevated emotional states, and practices like visualizations, affirmations, and somatic tools. So this one is how trauma and survival look like in the brain. So this is how our bodies physically experience calm and rest, fight or flight, which flight is panic, fear, anxiety. Fight is the opposite, rage, anger, irritation, but you can still see that they make the body feel the same. And then if we don't do anything out of that fight or flight response, we get kicked into that freeze response. So some things to just consider is you want to hang out in the green. Anytime, all the time, get in the green. And how you do that is noticing when your body is bumped up into that yellow or red state and doing something about it, usually breathing from your belly and orienting to the present moment by finding something pleasurable or non-activating to look at. You can also stimulate the other senses. What do I hear? What do I taste? What do I touch? And what do I see? So this is very important. So kind of like the stoplight, green, yellow, red, you want to hang out in the green because then your body is increasing its digestion. It's increasing resistance to infection, and it decreases defensive responses. If you're kicked into that yellow, let's say by an argument, or someone cutting you off in traffic, or not getting the contract, you might be kicked into that yellow area. And what happens is now your body is working. Really, it's pressing on the gas, if you would. So now your blood pressure is increasing, your heart rate is increasing. Your defense responses are now you're defensive. And at the same time, it's decreasing digestion and immune responses. So if you don't do anything in the yellow, you get bumped into the red. This is where your body believes that no one's coming to save you, so to speak. It's kind of like the baby that cries and keeps crying. And then if no one comes, the baby stops crying and the body kind of hangs out in this freezed resting state because it's literally trying to extend the life on its own for as long as it can with no help from the outside. And so what we don't want to do is leave your baby crying, your inner baby crying without attention to it. So this is just some things to think about. So trauma is not just a past event, it's something that lives in the body and nervous system. When someone experiences the trauma, whether personal like abuse or neglect, historical like colonization or relocation, or intergenerational like poverty or systematic racism, it can rewire the brain and body to stay in a prolonged state of survival. And that's just stepping on the gas, and it's just depleting the energy from your body. So what we want to do is we want to get out of that as quickly as possible. So that's what it does to the brain. What does it do to us as women entrepreneurs? Well, the first one is we might experience fear of risk or expansion. In survival mode, the brain is wired to avoid the unknown. So starting or expanding a business requires exactly the opposite, stepping into uncertainty, visibility, and leadership. The second one might look like difficulty making decisions. Every decision from setting prices to choosing a partner or pitching a service can feel like a life or death event when the body is stuck in hypervigilance or shut down. The next one is exhaustion or burnout. This is where the body's energy is constantly spent scanning for danger, leaving little left for innovation, creativity, or joy in your work. So example would be stuck at the starting line. So we have a Native woman who's dreamed of launching her own skincare line using ancestral herbs and traditional recipes. She has the skills, the ingredients, and even her community is behind her, but she never quite finishes her business plan. So what's the root cause? The root cause might be her nervous system is in that constant low grade survival state due to childhood trauma and financial instability. Starting the business to her might feel too risky, so she doesn't do it. The business impact would be procrastinating, freezing and overwhelm, or shifting to other quote unquote safer tasks to avoid facing the uncertainty of launching. So that's a body example of what trauma or activation looks like in the body and what it can look like in business. Okay, mental rehearsal and rewiring the brain for success. Mental rehearsal is a visualization. It's visualizing a future experience with intentional clarity and emotion. It's as if that thing or that event is happening right now. So according to neuroscience, when you vividly imagine a new future and you pair it with an elevated emotion like gratitude or joy, the brain begins to lay down new neural pathways in your brain that mirror the experience. So it slowly starts to override those negative belief neural pathways. It's like when you have a weed growing and you have the roots underneath that weed, it's like a big tree comes in and the roots start to navigate its way, and all of a sudden it pushes out the weed. So that's what we want to do with visualizing or mental rehearsal. A lot of professional athletes use this powerful tool. And the reason why it's powerful is because the brain doesn't know the difference between a real event and one that is vividly imagined with emotion. It can't differentiate if it's happening now or if you're imagining it happened now. So survival versus creation mode. Most of us operate unconsciously in survival mode, especially if we've experienced trauma. And probably most of us have, unfortunately. When we're in this state of trauma, we feel rushed or anxious or disconnected. We feel stress hormones. And instead of the body focusing on the here and now, it's focusing on short-term safety. It's not trying to build or create your future. It's trying to keep yourself safe from the past. To create change, we have to shift from that survival mode to creative mode, where we feel expansive, hopeful, empowered, and where we feel elevated emotions. And when I say elevated emotions, I'm talking big emotions, big peaceful emotions, like when you walk away from ceremony, or when you finish your last dance during feast day, right? It's that wonderful feeling of gratitude and joy. So those big feelings. When we feel those big feelings, and when we see our future self, our body gets aligned and it starts to work together. So mental rehearsal is one of the fastest ways to activate this shift. So let's see. I'm going to do an example. So we have someone moving from scarcity to abundance. We have a woman entrepreneur who grew up in poverty and inherited a belief that money's hard to get. Her body tenses anytime she talks about pricing or revenue, and you can see that physical discomfort. Sometimes if you look very closely, you can see when people are uncomfortable around certain challenges. So a mental rehearsal practice that she could use would be, she could create a daily ritual where she visualizes her bank account growing, her services being valued, and her community thriving alongside her. So when you start to see those things, your body can't help but feel gratitude, generosity, and abundance. So the brain's response is that your subconscious brain starts to release that fear around money. You might start to make different choices, like raising your prices or applying for grants or speaking about your business with confidence. And you can do those things because your nervous system isn't all jacked up. It's calm and confident. And so you can access, your creativity, and that's how you can grow your business. So some key takeaways from this slide is that mental rehearsal is most effective when you pair it with an emotion, a big emotion like joy or gratitude. So it's not just about seeing where you're going, but it's about feeling. So you want to pair those two together. You also want to repeat that process over and over and over again, so you can continue to build those roots, so that way you can get out those weeds, so that way you can have stronger beliefs about yourself. And then the cool thing is, you don't have to wait to feel better. You can feel better now. You can close your eyes and visualize where you want to go, or see yourself already at a successful state or place and feeling joy or gratitude, you can do that now, and it doesn't cost you anything. Quote from Eckhart Tolle: "Stop looking outside for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment, for validation, security, or love. You have a treasure within that is infinitely greater than anything the world can offer." So visualization and affirmations work. Visualization is the process of mentally rehearsing, seeing clearly in your mind's eye. When you do it consistently and with feeling, your brain begins to interpret these mental images as if that thing or that event is happening right now. This activates the same neural pathways as actual experiences. That means that it's preparing your body and mind to move toward the future you're imagining. Affirmations are short, positive statements that affirm your desired identity, beliefs, or outcome. When you repeat them, especially in a calm and focused manner and emotionally elevated state, they reinforce new mental patterns in your subconscious mind. So some examples are: I am capable, grounded, and ready. Abundance flows through me and benefits my community. Here's the exciting part, is creating the motion picture of your future. This activity is gonna invite you to step into your role as both visionary and director of your future. This one is inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza's method, and it's grounded in Indigenous storytelling. This is not about creating a generic vision board. It's about emotionally connecting to a clear, sensory rich, and purposeful future self. Why it works: emotion fuels transformation. The more you feel your future, the more real it becomes to your nervous system. The brain changes through repetition and emotional intensity. Visualizing with feeling helps break down old patterns and creates new neurological connections. And then images and story activate deeper parts of the mind, especially the subconscious, which doesn't respond to logic, but to symbols, memory, and felt experience. Okay, so instructions for your motion picture is, I'm gonna set a scene for you. So imagine it's 3 to 5 years from now. You are living your most aligned, empowered life as a Native woman entrepreneur. Everything you've worked toward is unfolding. What does your world look like, feel like, and sound like? So if you can, I'd like to invite you to get something to write with. You can also close your eyes and use your imagination. And so I want to ask you some questions. So I'd like you to illustrate or describe or imagine where you are 3 to 5 years from now. Are you at home? Are you in your workspace? Are you traveling? What are you doing? Who are you serving? What's bringing you joy? How do you feel? What emotions are present in your body? Are you calm, inspired, confident? Who's around you? Do you see family? Who are your collaborators? Are there any mentors? Are there any youth or elders? What are some symbols of success? Do you see money? Do you see health? Do you see cultural restoration? Do you see people speaking your language? So your creative formats can include drawing or sketching. You can write a scene from a day in your life, or you can design a storyboard or a simple collage. So this isn't about being realistic. This is about being emotionally honest and intuitively bold. So just a quick example of this. So an example of a motion picture or a motion picture of your future self would be a business on the land. So we have a Native women entrepreneur who draws herself standing outside a solar powered wellness studio built on her grandmother's land. In her image, she's greeting a group of Native youth for a cultural healing workshop. Her daughter is nearby, helping with tea and herbs. The building is circular, filled with plant medicine, cedar wood walls, and shelves of handmade wellness products. She has a check in her hand from a tribal grant program. She's wearing her moccasins or her native shoes and earrings that she made herself. She writes, "I feel at peace. I feel like I'm giving back without giving myself away." And she includes the affirmation, "I build with my ancestors behind me and generations in front of me." So some key points to think about as you create your own motion picture of your future is, don't worry about being an artist. This is about connection, not perfection. Feel it while you create it. Let joy, courage, compassion, love, gratitude, all the elevated emotions, let yourself feel them. Give yourself permission to feel them as you're writing or drawing. And then put this thing up, put this image up, put this writing up, so that way this becomes your guidepost, something that you can revisit, refine, and rehearse daily. So again, this is taken from Dr. Joe's Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural. It's his book, one of the books he wrote. And I hope you enjoy the activity. All right, we're almost done here. So just wanted to touch on some barriers to change. So before we can heal or grow, we have to first name what's in our way. Many of the internal challenges that Native women face in particular are not rooted in laziness or lack of skill. They're rooted in deep ancestral and systematic layers of conditioning. These blocks often come from intergenerational trauma, colonized education and economic systems, societal pressures to prioritize others over self, survival patterns developed from lived experiences of poverty, discrimination, or abuse. When we name these internalized beliefs with compassion, we begin to take our power back. So some common internal roadblocks are fear of success. What happens if I actually succeed? That could be a big fear question. Imposter syndrome could sound like, who am I to lead or teach? Or people will find out I'm not as good as they think I am. We could also have this internalized depression where we believe our voice or our experience or our culture is less than. Or we might feel the need to downplay our identity in professional workplaces. So some reflection prompts when you start to look at your own barriers for change are, what internal beliefs come up when I try to imagine myself being visible, successful, and well paid? Or how have these beliefs protected me in the past? And are they still serving me now? Example would be a woman entrepreneur, native woman entrepreneur who says, I'm not ready yet. She's been asked to speak at a local conference to share her business journey. Even though she's successful, she's been running it for years, she declines the opportunity. Her internal block might sound something like imposter syndrome, plus an internalized belief that she must have a formal degree, or she has to speak perfectly to be worthy of that platform. A way to heal that internalized block would be journaling about lived experiences, maybe accepting smaller speaking opportunities to practice, and then affirming, my story is medicine, not perfection. Tools for alignment and sustainable growth. So running a business while carrying the weight of generational, cultural, and personal responsibility can lead Native women entrepreneurs feeling overextended and emotionally drained. So the key to sustaining our vision is learning to regulate our nervous system, stay centered in who we are, and to lean into our community. So breath work. Breath is the first medicine, right? It is always in our prayers, and it's always with us. When we take deep, intentional breaths, we signal to the nervous system that we're safe. This helps moves us out of that fight, flight, freeze, that red, yellow, into the green. So breath work helps quiet racing thoughts, center attention, and increase clarity. You can, before you respond to an email or before you enter a meeting, you can try this breath activity, and you can inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold your breath for 2 seconds, and then exhale slowly for 6 seconds. You want to repeat that at least 2 to 3 times. And remember, you're not telling your nervous system to calm down. You're feeling the sense of calm. It's very different. And the cultural connection between breath is that we use breath in ceremony, prayer, and song. Breath connects us to spirit and to our bodies. Journaling helps by offloading our mental clutter. We can process emotion and clarify our vision. When we write with our hands instead of type, when we write, it slows down the mind and builds self-awareness. So when you do it consistently, when you journal consistently, it becomes a powerful tool for rewiring beliefs and also noticing your patterns. So an activity you could do each morning or evening is you could answer, today I'm feeling, fill in the blank. What I want to remember about myself is, and a belief I'm choosing to release is. And the cultural connection to journaling is storytelling. It's a sacred place where we tell our lived experiences, where we teach each other moral and ethics. It's a form of story sovereignty, if you would, where you can claim your narrative and speak your truth, even if it's not to another person. There's grounding practices. When you ground, it helps regulate energy and emotion by reconnecting us to our bodies in the present moment. When we're overwhelmed or disassociating, grounding can bring us home to ourselves. So a grounding activity would be taking your shoes off and your socks, placing your bare feet on the earth for 5 to 10 minutes. You can carry a grounding stone in your pocket. You can also use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, where you name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, and 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And the cultural connection behind that is our teachings often center on balance with Mother Nature. So grounding is both science and ceremonial. It's an embodied present. It's an embodied prayer of presence. You can also do daily check-in practices. What do I need today? How am I doing physically, emotionally? Where's my energy? How can I honor myself? And the cultural connection to that is that echoes the daily rituals and morning acknowledgement that our ancestors emphasize, right? Beginning each day with intention and gratitude. And the last one is community accountability. Entrepreneurship, as we all know, could be very isolating, especially when you're in the first year or when you have family. Without support, doubts can grow loud and vision can fade. So you want to build connection by creating or joining a peer accountability group, or creating a circle of Native women, just like Native Women Lead is doing right now. Partnering with a mentor, coach, or elder. And the cultural connection here is our cultures were never meant to function in isolation. Wisdom is shared in circles, growth is nurtured in community, and healing is amplified when we're together. So the key is the tools to grow your business are not separate from the tools to grow your spirit. You already carry them, you're just remembering how to use them. So this brings us to the end of our time here, and I'd really like to invite you to pause and breathe in this space that's created by Native Women Lead, which is a space of possibility, insight, and recognition of the power that you have as Native women entrepreneurs. I want to remind you that you are your business's most powerful asset, that your healing is part of your success, and that your vision is medicine for you, your family, and your community. I have 2 small calls to action. The first one is Take one small aligned action within 24 hours. So you could ask yourself, what's one small thing I could do today that moves me closer to my vision? Could I raise my prices by $5? Could I journal for 10 minutes about my future self? Maybe reach out to a potential collaborator, or after this presentation, rest without guilt. The other call to action would be share your vision with one trusted person. Choose a friend, mentor, or relative and say, I want to share something I saw for myself today. That will allow you to let your vision be witnessed. So that way it activates your voice and anchors your intention in community and business success. So my closing remarks are, I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up today, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, and also courageously. There's no one right path, but there is a way forward that honors all of who you are. Let today be a reminder that you are not alone on this journey, that your success does not require you to abandon your culture, your softness, or your spirit, that you were born with everything you need. And now is the time to remember, reclaim, and rise. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jen. This workshop has been so enlightening and grounding. Thank you so much for this opportunity to learn and grow personally, professionally, emotionally, spiritually. So thank you so much for sharing all of these tools, resources, and guidance. Appreciate you so much.
Okay. I just want to tell you, Jennifer, thank you so much. This was so beautiful. And I don't know how many times I felt like I wanted to cry. I'm thankful I'm getting the recording because I'm definitely going to listen to it. My hands weren't going fast enough to write because I was just really taking in everything you said. It was spot on. And I've been attending different webinars throughout the week. This is one that really did hit home in all beautiful senses of the word. And thank you so much for everything. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everybody. Get some good rest.